This is what the streets of Omdurman suburb of Wad Nubawi now look like. The aftermath of battles between the Sudanese army and the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces, or RSF. Homes and shops, all riddled with bullet and artillery holes, all destroyed since the RSF entered the district nearly 5 months ago. Until recently, Wad Nubawi was a battlefield between the Sudanese army and the Rapid Support Forces here in Omdurman. Nearly all of its residents have been displaced as a result. The Sudanese army now controls it and is pushing to regain more grounds from the fighters. But the district that was once vibrant now carries the scars of the conflict. And the sound of artillery and gunfire, a warning that the front line is not far from where we are. Al-Sadiq Sherfi and his family are the only civilians still remaining in this part of the district. He shows us what's become of his house, which he says was occupied by the RSF while he and his family were in it. He says the group terrorized them while they were there and continued to fire artillery at his house after they've left.
It was not easy, but with time my family has adapted to the fact that we have no way to escape. We are in a very critical situation without any resources. We stayed and we tried to adapt ourselves to hearing this. And every one of my family, I'm sure, that has lost at least between 10 to 15 kilograms of his own weight. We are eating one food the whole day and one meal a day.
The army's recent gains comes after months of fighting. Omdurman is a major supply route for the RSF, even after a bridge connecting it to the northern part of the capital Khartoum was destroyed. The RSF has been firing artillery to try to stop the army, but civilians have also been killed as a result of what local committees describe as indiscriminate shelling. As the fighting continues, so does the destruction and the loss of civilian lives. Hiba Morgan, Al Jazeera, Omdurman.
Alex Dawal is the Executive Director for the World Peace Foundation at Tufts University. He joins me now from Boston in the United States. Thanks very much for being with us. So we got an idea there of just how dire the situation has become in Sudan, the number of people killed, the number of people displaced and so on, and the toll that it has taken on civilians there. So I guess my question is, what is it going to take to get these two forces to the table and bring this conflict to an end?
Well, so far, the efforts that have been made by the international community, by the United States, by Saudi Arabia, by Egypt, by East African countries, have signally failed. Neither side has really shown any interest in serious peace negotiations. On the side of the government, when General Burhan, the head of the Sudan Armed Forces, makes a move towards any sort of concession, he is usually then immediately undermined by some of his lieutenants who are Islamist veterans from the former regime. And when General Hemeti, head of the RSF, makes some sort of rhetorical public statement in favor of peace, that is contradicted by the atrocious behavior of his fighters on the ground.
Let's try to take a step back then to hopefully understand this better. But what do you think gave rise to this conflict, and how does that help us get to where we are now?
Well, essentially, at root, it is a power struggle between these two men and their respective factions. Now, as the war has gone on, the external backing has become extremely important. So Egypt backs Burhan, but more significantly, the United Arab Emirates is very heavily invested in supporting General Hemeti. And what the peace efforts thus far have failed to do is to bring those external power backers, especially the UAE, to the table in some way. And until that happens, the war, unfortunately, is very unlikely to be resolved. And this terrible humanitarian toll, the destruction of Sudan, will just continue apace.
So what do you think outside parties, outside actors, I mean, you mentioned the United Arab Emirates there, what can they do to try and bring this conflict to an end, or what have they not done to this point?
Well, I think the key step needs to be taken actually by the United States, whose ostensible allies are the power brokers behind the scenes. Now, if the road to any serious negotiations in Sudan runs through Cairo, Riyadh, and Abu Dhabi, then the United States and its allies need to bring heavyweight political actors, such as the president or the national security advisor, to bear on this. These are the voices that will be listened to in these capitals. It's not good enough for US ambassadors to African countries to be running around. They simply don't have the weight. And this is the problem that is also faced by the East African leaders, such as the Kenyan President William Ruto, who has been the most energetic and committed. He needs very serious backing from Western powers if he is to get the Arab countries in line with his peace plans.
Good to talk to you, Alex de Waal. Thanks very much for being with us.
You're very welcome.